Hi grade 2, happy Friday. You've reached the end of another hard-working week, so again I'd like to say well done for working so hard, well done for watching all these videos so carefully, and also well done for working so hard in our Zoom classes this week that we had on Tuesday and Thursday. Well, it's another beautifully sunny day here at ISC, and you can see here that I'm surrounded by beautiful plants. Well, today, I thought that we could do a little bit of an experiment with some plants. We've looked at how we grow plants. We've looked at the conditions that we need to grow plants. We know that we need good sunlight, lots of rich, nutritious soil, good temperature, and also rain and water. Well, today we're going to take 3 plants, and there are some scientists waiting for you in the science room at BGV here. They're going to do an experiment with you today, but you're going to make the predictions. So at the end of this video, I'll be giving you a piece of work for you to complete, where you'll need to predict what you think is going to happen to those 3 different plants. Anyway, enough of me talking away. Why don't we head over to those scientists and see what their experiment's going to be. Let's head over there. Good afternoon and welcome to our lab. My name is Dr. Krieber and this is my assistant.
My name is Dr. James. It's nice to meet you.
Welcome to our lab here at BGV. We're going to be conducting some experiments today and we'd like you to join us. Our job here is a plant biologist. Do you know what a plant biologist's job is?
What's a plant biologist?
Okay, well, let's take a quick look and find out. A plant biologist is a scientist who studies plants, how they grow, the different species, and what they do is they make experiments to test information about different plants. This way, they can find out lots of new facts about plants that they find and also plants that they have already known about. Okay, well, I hope that that helped you find out what a plant biologist is. I've heard from your teacher, Mr. Bedford, that you have been learning all about plants for the last month. Well, today, let's go through an experiment. Now, we're not going to be able to show you the results today. That is something that Mr. Bedford has asked me to tell you that you will be doing. So let's go through all of the things that we need to think about when making an experiment. Here is my list. So, what do we need to think about in an experiment? There are 5 stages that start from before the experiment, go through the experiment, and then finally what has happened at the end of the experiment. First, we need to make a question about what we want to find out. For example, our experiment today will be learning about what plants need to grow healthily. So maybe a question could be, what do plants need to stay strong and healthy? We could also say, what do plants need to grow? It's entirely up to you, but we do need to think of a question first. Because stage 2 is explaining what we want to find out. We would just need to write 1 or 2 short sentences explaining what it is that we're doing and what it is that we're hoping to find out from this experiment. Remember, an experiment is all about guessing. It's testing things. So you need to test what it is that you think you know about and therefore what you want to get good results about. Stage 3, make predictions. Now, predictions is a very, very important word. What that means is you're basically making a very clever guess about what you think is going to happen to each of the different parts of the experiment. Today we'll be working with 3 plants, so we'll need to make 3 different predictions about what's going to happen to each plant in their different growing condition. Don't worry, we'll go through this a little bit in more detail a little bit later on. After we've done the experiment, because that's what happens between stage 3 and stage 4, we'll need to evaluate the results. That means we need to look at what has happened and we need to say what has happened in that experiment. Then finally, from saying what has happened, we can explain what we have found out. For example, we'll be looking at 3 different growing conditions today. So at the end, we can say we have found out that X has grown very well, Y has not grown very well, and Z has grown nothing. Maybe has even died. We don't know. Now, the important thing with all experiments is that we need to make it fair. Do you remember what fair means? I think your teacher, Miss Karpati, has talked about that in your social studies classes. Well, fair means that we need to make sure everything is equal, that each plant today will have the same conditions. Well, sorry, they're going to have different conditions of growing, but they need to start in the same way. And that's why we've chosen 3 plants that are exactly the same. They have been growing for the same amount of time, and they are all exactly the same plant from the same seed. But what we'll do as a difference today is we'll put them in different conditions to test what we need to find out about growing conditions. Now my lovely assistant is going to go and prepare the plants. Could you bring them to us? Thank you very, very much. Okay, thank you very, very much. So here we have our 3 plants. Now, as you can see, we have one. This has green leaves and also a slight purple underneath. Here is another one of exactly the same plant. And here is a final one of exactly the same plant. Now, these are all of the same plant. They've come from the same seeds and they have the same name. Now, we can see that there is one small difference. This one here and this one here, they've grown slightly more than this one here. But that's okay, because they're all of the same age. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to find 3 different locations within this building where these plants will be left for the next 4 days. In that time, we're going to find out which condition is the best for making a plant grow very strong and very big and very healthy. Now, I understand from your teacher that you have already looked at some ways that plants grow and what features are needed to help plants grow. Now, if you can remind yourselves first what plants need, you can pause this video here and quickly write down what are the different things that plants need to grow very strong. Take a pencil and a piece of paper and write them down, and we'll come back in just a moment. Okay, how did you do? Did you get them okay? Well, let's think about it. The seed needs to grow in the soil. So number 1, we need healthy, nutritious soil for that seed to germinate. After that, the rain will come, or if we're planting indoors, we can use a watering can. So we'll need water to help that seed germinate in the soil. Now, alongside that water, we do need sunlight. If we have no sunlight, there will be no energy from that sun to help that seed germinate within the water, within that nutritious soil. And of course, most plants don't grow in very, very cold conditions or very, very hot conditions. We've looked at desert plants and how strong those roots need to be. And we've also looked at other places like the Antarctic, where very few plants grow at all. So, we're going to choose 3 different locations today, and I'm going to ask my lovely assistant again to go and find our container that has different locations that we'll choose from. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you very much, wonderful, thank you. So here we have a list of some different conditions in this box. There are going to be 3 rooms that we will choose from, or 3 locations within this building that we're going to choose from. What we'll do is we'll then take these plants to those different locations and we'll find out afterwards where we think is the best place based on what has happened in the next 4 days. So let's choose our first place. So here it says a BGV corridor. Now, a corridor is the place where we walk between different rooms. So what we can do is place this plant here in a BGV corridor window. Okay, the next one, we have an ISC classroom. So what we'll do is go upstairs to the 4th floor and take the second plant to the ISC classrooms. Finally, this one says outside. So this one, for the final one, we'll take this outside. In a moment, you'll be seeing a piece of, a worksheet, a piece of paper that has some forms on there, some different tables that you can fill out. What you'll need to do first is have a look at the first part, where it will say, write your question. So you need to choose a question saying what it is that you will want to find out from this experiment today. Then you'll have just a few lines to say what it is that you're trying to do. For example, we are trying to find out the best growing conditions for different plants. Okay? Then we have our predictions. You can say, I think in the BGV corridor, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Then for the next one, ISC classroom. I think in the ISC classroom, and again, you say what you think will happen there. And finally, for outside, I think the plant that is outside will, and then you can make a prediction. Do you think that the BGV corridor plant is going to have good sunlight and good water? Who knows? Do you think the plant in the ISC classroom is going to have enough light and water? You say. And finally, do you think the plant going outside is going to have good growing conditions with good sunlight and good water? Good luck with this. I'm going to be checking in with your teacher, Mr. Bedford, to find out what it is that you've predicted. So we'll find out on Monday just what has happened with these 3 plants. Thank you very, very much, Doctor. It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for helping me today.
No problem. It's been really fun to learn with you guys.
Excellent. And thank you very much, guys, for joining us. We'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. So here we have location number 1. This is a BGV corridor window. As you can see, this plant is going to get plenty of sunlight. However, if left here for 4 days, is it going to have enough water to be able to grow nice and strong and successfully? Remember, make your prediction and write down what you think is going to happen to plant number 1. So here is plant location number 2. This is in an ISC classroom. Now, as you can see, even though this plant is by a window, the light source is not very strong. This is fairly dark conditions for this plant to grow. As you can see, the air from the window on the left is open. So that means that this will be getting air circulation around the plant, which could help the plant to grow. But again, I would like you to make a prediction for plant number 2. What do you think is going to happen to this plant if it doesn't get much sunlight and it doesn't get any water for the next 4 days? So write down, I think that plant number 2 will, and write your prediction. And finally, we have location number 3. This is outside. Now outside you can see that this plant is getting good air quality, it's getting sunlight, and for the next couple of days there will be some rainfall, so it will get natural water. So for plant number 3, I want you to write down, what do you think is going to happen to this plant? Good luck with all of these predictions, and we'll find out in 4 days just what has happened in each of these 3 growing conditions. Okay, so the professor has talked to you a little bit about how we record an experiment. We need to make predictions, and then we need to explain what we found out. So let's have a look more clearly at what we need to do and what you will need to do for your homework. So here is what you will be sent.
The title up here that I've given you is writing about your experiment. What you will need to do is make your own title or your own question about what it is that you want to find out. For example, your title can be, I want to find out how plants grow the best. You can also say, how do plants grow in the best conditions? You can choose. Now, what you then need to do is write a little explanation about what it is that you need to do in this experiment. Just write me 2 or 3 little sentences to explain what you'll be doing in the experiment. Now here you have 3 predictions. We've got 3 plants. I've started you off with each of those sentences. Plant 1, I've said, I think plant 1 will, and then you need to say what you think is going to happen. For plant 2, I think plant 2 will, and then again, what do you think will happen in the conditions in the ISC classroom? Finally, for plant 3, I think plant 3 will, then you need to say what you think will happen to the plant that's been left outside. Now, you don't need to look at the evaluation this weekend, and you don't need to say what you found out this weekend. Keep those parts blank, and next Monday, when we have a look at what has happened to each of those plants, you can write what the experiment showed for the evaluation, and finally, what you found out from the experiment. Good luck with this, everybody. I hope that you're enjoying doing a little bit of experimenting. Write up your predictions. What do you think is going to happen? And then we'll have a look after the weekend. Happy experimenting. Thanks for listening and working so hard again, grade 2. Have a lovely, lovely weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.